Would it be possible to have Jodi run through the attack on 6408 using the floor plan Exhibit 249? Valerie, would you take Exhibit 249 and put it on the projector, please? Ms. Arias, will you run through the attack on June 4, 2008 using the floor plan?
Can you move it up to show the shower and the bathroom? I don't know if it focuses out more to show more space. That's actually where you just had it was, well, yeah, maybe right about there. It might have to be moved again because the bathroom is long. Yeah, that's good. It'll probably have to be moved up though. Eventually. It
Okay.
starts there.
Let me know.
Okay. It started where Travis was in the shower. I was right outside the shower a few feet. I was taking photos of him, facing him in the shower. Back and forth we would check the photos. Some got deleted because they didn't turn out great, or he was making a wrong expression or something. And then others we kept. And so I would do this and do that, and then we crouched and did the same thing. We tried a few different positions. And then at one point we were deleting, and I went to move again and shift and face him, and the camera, it slipped. It was kind of like, the best I could describe it, like when you go to catch a football, but it bounces and you kind of fumble it a little, because it didn't slip and just drop. It slipped, and I tried to catch it, and it kind of bounced a little and then fell on the ground and bounced and rolled onto the tile. It fell first on the mat, then it rolled right onto the tile. The mat isn't very big. It's just kind of right outside the shower, and then the tile is right outside. So at that point, he got very angry, and he stepped out of the shower. He lifted me up from the crouch position with enough force that my feet came off the ground momentarily, and he body slammed me on the tile. At that point, I rolled, and I ran down the hallway, which is where 7 goes on there. I'm sorry. Can you, yeah, right there. Yes. I ran down the hallway. I ran into the closet. I slammed the door. I start running. If you are looking at the diagram, it would be on the left side of the seat. I began running that way with my initial intent to probably run out this door. I instead went for the gun. I grabbed the gun. Right about then, Travis was opening the door. I grabbed it. I ran out into the bathroom. He ran, I believe, straight toward the door as well. And can you show the bathroom area again? A little bit more. Yeah. At that point, I had run out of the bathroom, and I turned, and I just wanted him to stop, so I pointed the gun at him, hoping that that would just make him halt. And it didn't. Instead, he lunged at me right around the time that the gun went off, and I didn't mean for it to go off. We fell with pretty good force down in the corner, near 15, but not quite up that close. It was kind of near the sink, kind of, sort of that area. And he fell kind of on top of me, but to my right. I didn't want him to get on top of me. He was grabbing at my clothes. He was trying to get on top of me. I don't know where the gun went at that point. It was not in my hands anymore. If it got knocked out of my hands or if I dropped it, what. I broke away from him, and as soon as the moment I broke away, that's when he threatened my life. I'd have no clear memories after that, at all. Things began to get really foggy after the gun went off. And I know he was screaming and cursing. I don't remember exact words except the ones he said to me right after I dropped the camera, which was about a 5-year-old being able to hold a camera better than me, and that I was an idiot. And he was using profanities with those statements.
Regarding the 9mm gun you purchased on July 1st, 2008, you mentioned a camping trip as one of the reasons for the purchase. Who was going on the camping trip?
There was 2 dishwashers from Purple Plum, which is where I had worked in the past, and I was still friends with them, One guy's name was Calvin.
And I was like, I just have an idea. I have a couple ideas. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, I said, I have this, I saw this thing in a Calvin Klein ad once that looked really good.
I don't remember his last name. He was somebody that I'm trying to remember if Calvin was one of the dishwashers or one of the customers or a former employee, but he was at the restaurant all the time. And then another guy, I don't remember his name, he's very tall. He worked as a dishwasher in the back and a prep cook, and he was going as well, and a few other people were all going. So that's all I can say with that.
Why were you planning on going if you were scared?
I wasn't scared, I was just being cautious. These are people that I knew, but I wasn't very well acquainted with, and I just didn't want to, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it suddenly and not have it, being out in the wilderness. I wasn't scared, I was just I was trying to be cautious. I had seen like a new side of what a man can do, so I wanted to be extra careful as far as being out there alone with a group of men. I think maybe some women were coming too, but at that point I was the only girl on the trip.
Were you paid for the interview with 48 hours?
No, I never asked for compensation. They never offered. There was no compensation at all.
Were you paid for the interview with Inside Edition?
The same, no. I was not paid. Someone encouraged me to ask because she had given an interview to Inside Edition and they paid her $50. She had a charge in New York and they did that. But I did not ask and they didn't offer.
In an interview with Detective Flores, Exhibit 503, you talked to him about taking photos of Travis while he was shaving. At some point, you state he must have liked it because he used it on his MySpace page. Can you explain what he used?
Yes, he used the photograph that was displayed yesterday. He used that photo as his profile picture, and what that means is if you type in the URL to his MySpace page, the profile comes up and you can, if it's public, you can see different things about the people or the person whose page it is. If it's private, you don't see those details, but you still see the person's profile picture, and that was his. So that was kind of his photo that represented his MySpace page. There were other photos within photo albums on the account, but the one that comes up on the front page or the main page of his thing was that photo of him shaving. So I assumed he liked it because that's what he was displaying to the world at that point.
You stated that you tried to call Matt and Daryl about your change in plans regarding going to Mesa, but said they did not answer. Why didn't you just leave them messages or text them?
When I called Matt and Daryl, it wasn't really about the change in plans. It was more about, I was trying to see if I left my phone charger there because I couldn't find it anywhere and my battery juice was getting very low. So I definitely wouldn't have told Daryl I'm going to go see Travis because I think that would have been a snub to him, and I was still sensitive to his feelings in that area. Nor would I have told Daryl I'm going to go see this guy Ryan. So I wouldn't have told him either of those. I definitely wouldn't have told Matt that I was going to go see Travis because Matt had very, very negative opinions about Travis, and he would have been very against it.
You testified that you reported your cell phone lost in May of 2008. When and where was it found?
Yes, I actually reported it to the Wairika Police Department as stolen, possibly lost. I thought it was stolen because I searched high and low, and I left it in my grandfather's vehicle when I ran in to pay for Chinese takeout. And it's in Wairika. I mean, locking the car door isn't a big deal. I didn't think I left it in there, but that was what I concluded when I made the report because it wasn't in my purse. I called it, it didn't ring. I looked everywhere. Was the rest of the question, when was it found?
Yes.
Okay. It was found, to my understanding, in 2010. My aunt found it, actually. She's sitting right over there on the front row. She cleaned out my grandfather's car and found it somewhere in there and turned it over to my grandmother or my parents. I don't know.
Sustained.